And we are back. It's been almost a year. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Balling Out podcast where we talk about ball. Me and my brothers are on set. I've got Matt, I've got Dej, and I've got DZ, and I am JJ, the moderator. Look, the main purpose for this show really is just to have a conversation about certain games or what's going on in the NBA, making it as informal as possible, but also try to give you a bit of information and insight. We talk ball every day, and we're always talking different topics. We go deep, but we want to make sure that people can follow. So we'll keep it as high level as possible. But if you want us to go deeper, let us know. Anyway, so topics for today. We're going to be talking specifically about the Lakers Warriors game three. How we got here, we all know the Lakers came through the Memphis Grizzlies and the Warriors came through the Sacramento Kings. 7 games and 6 games. These were quite grueling games. Game one, the Lakers took advantage of the fact that the Warriors were probably tired, a bit heavy on the legs, and they dominated in that game. Towards the end, the Warriors came back, but the Lakers came away with a win. Game two, Warriors made some adjustments and absolutely destroyed the Lakers. And it was 1-1. Go back to LA and we're game three, where people are talking all the talk about AD, talking all the talk about the Warriors, talking all the talk about the Lakers. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So there's 3 key things I want to talk, or we want to talk to you guys about. The first is, why did the Lakers win, or why did the Warriors lose? That's the biggest topic. The second piece we want to talk about is, who are the key performers? Who's doing well? Who's not doing well? Are these matching our expectations? And what do we expect for the future for these guys? And the third and final piece is, what do we expect for game four? Are we anticipating a blowout? Are we thinking a close game? What do the teams need to do to get the W? So again, we're balling out, we're talking ball, me and my brothers Matt, DZ, and Dej, and we're about to kick off. So let me begin with, I'm a massive LeBron fan, right? And I'm a massive Lakers fan. So in the chat today, just putting it out there behind the scenes, no one was saying nothing. I didn't see no memes. I didn't see no talk. I didn't hear no one talking about Warriors. I'm looking at you, Matt. I didn't hear no one talking about the Lakers. I'm looking at you, DZ. You guys weren't firing no shots, but I kept it cool because I knew we're going to do the podcast today. So I've been holding back. I've been waiting. But anyway, let me stay professional, stay focused. Anyway, so let me start with you, Dej, because I know that you ain't as highly emotional as these other cats about this game. Why do you think the Lakers got the W against the Warriors?
Well, a few people stepped up, mainly Russell. He right from the first quarter, he was off. He was going in, and then I guess they made their adjustments from game two. So from game two, when they had it, the pick and roll with Curry and him feeding the rest of the team. Rest of the team stepped up and was, making shots. They didn't have any game plan for after Curry passes, but I guess they adjusted. And now in game three, whenever he passes, there's someone covering whoever he's gonna pass to, like fully, not giving them open shots and just working them to make the shots harder. And then I guess one of the guy that they would usually depend on that can give them about 15, 20 didn't turn up at all. Poole, and he really hasn't turned up this whole playoff. So it's stuff like that. And then Jermichael Green's shots weren't falling, got a couple of techs. It was the rest of the team weren't doing what they were supposed to do when Curry was when Curry was double teamed and stuff like that. And Clay didn't go nuclear like he did in game two. Our boy lost his
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
back
They
his
look,
mind. That boy,
the guys, they didn't back it. The Warriors didn't back it, and
that
look,
boy, that boy lost. That boy lost his mind in game two. It was like shots he wasn't supposed to take. He was taking them. I said in the chat, he was taking those shots and he was making them. So to me, Steve Kerr would be like, okay, yeah, keep going, because he made it. And then on the Lakers side, AD turned up, Russell turned up. I guess Vanderbilt did a better job chasing people around and stuff like that. And then yeah, even Shooter, I don't know, going trouble, foul trouble, stuff like that. Even Shooter turned up. So it was a team effort with the Lakers. And then LeBron as well. It was it, later on. because there was stuff about he didn't take any shots in the first quarter. It was really strange, and of course the stats came out like this is the first time in the playoff history that he's never taken a shot in the first quarter and all that. Hate stats, but yeah, it really was like the first time he's never not taken one shot in the first quarter of the playoff game and stuff like that. So I don't know if that was planned or anything like that to try and get everyone going because it's LeBron. He's gonna get going either way. So.
Well, we're going to come back to LeBron's performance in the second part, but I'm glad that you mentioned about the other players not performing for the Warriors as a reason for why they may have lost. Matt, DZ, anything you wanted to add to what you saw on top of what Dej was saying, or disagree with what he's saying in regards to why you think the Warriors lost or the Lakers won the game?
Yeah, for me personally, it was all good the first quarter. I think, yep, here we go. Second quarter starts, I'm like, yeah, we still got this. Here we go. We are big. And then midway through the second quarter, things began to go wrong. Now, a lot of people online talking about the referees, saying, the NBA needs this game to go a certain way. So, Draymond got a couple of calls, and then we kind of went from there. Once he kind of got into foul trouble, things kind of went in a certain direction. Because if you look at the first quarter and halfway through the second quarter, it looks like it's going to be another blowout. So I'm sad that I'm like, yeah, this is worth staying up for. This is what I'm talking about, And then things began to go awry. But then, like you said, Jordan Poole hasn't really showed up. It's meant to be the third splash brother and looking more like a puddle brother right now. He's not really there. So we need him to kind of come back to the party because we need him for game 4. So, but yeah, for me personally, I think it was the second quarter. Then it feels like LeBron's been great for a really long time. I'll give him that. Going into year 20 now and all that.
Why are you smiling?
It feels
bro?
like,
why you smiling, bro? You got some hate coming in you. I can see it.
It feels like that third quarter when I was watching LeBron and AD, and they gave it all in that third quarter. That third quarter was extraordinary, but it looked like they gave everything they had. Like if you look back to the end of game 1, and if you look at the AD, if you look at AD, and he's just kind of like he's there, but you can tell he's exhausted because the Warriors have run him like they've been running basically. And it looks like that third quarter they did just enough to blow him out, and that was basically the game. But like it looks like for me, I think the condition is going to kick in because it's now every 2 days now. And I think if the Warriors come out and they get that pace up, I think good things will happen. But I think Jordan Poole's got to make shots. Number one, he's got to show up. Otherwise, because he doesn't really bring a lot defensively. So if he's not making shots, then he's not really doing anything at all. So like he needs to start adding some value. Or Kerr's going to sit him. It's that simple. This is basically win or go home now in terms of the next few games. So yeah, for me that's what happened basically. The supporting cast of the Warriors didn't really show up on the road, and guys didn't make the shots that they made in the second in game 2, and the Lakers basically, as Clay said after the game, we got punked from the second quarter onwards. Basically, for the second and third quarter, they just got punked, and everyone's gonna so that's what happened. Just a bad night overall, man. I can't even deny it.
Fair enough.
I can't even deny.
I was.
Did you say we got punked?
I said Clay said we got punked, but it feels like I'm on the team. Right? Yeah, I did.
You said everyone heard that, right?
Yeah, no. Yeah. Not everyone heard that, bro. It's recorded, bro. It was in the back.
Yeah, it feels like we got punked, to be honest with you. So we need to bring a better effort for game 4.
You double down on the week. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I'm not speaking French, so we need to bring a better effort for game 4. So yeah. There we go.
He's coming. Matt, after hearing these guys talk about the supporting cast and the why, the what, in terms of the performances that weren't there, could you give us a little bit of insight from your perspective as to why you think they underperformed, why you think they didn't necessarily show up? Was there something that the Lakers did? Was there something that the Warriors didn't do that led to that performance?
I think it's a combination of both. I would say the Warriors always knew coming into the series that scoring in the paint was going to be a challenge. With AD and LeBron in there, and obviously when AD decides to sort of double down on his defense, he is
Yeah, I think Matt's got into warrior mode, from what happened in the second quarter.
You know what? He went missing like the Warriors team did there, man.
That's showing solidarity, Matt. We appreciate you.
Let's call him Jordan Poole for now on, yeah?
Yeah, he's symbolic of what happened yesterday. But yeah, I think
not here to defend himself.
Yeah, you know what? He's here. He just can't speak.
Yeah,
just like the Warriors turned up and couldn't play. This happens, man.
That's South London Wi-Fi for you. I mean,
well, look, Matt is gone for technical difficulties, but look, you guys touched on some interesting points which I wanted to go into a little bit. So, starting with you, DZ, you mentioned conditioning, and you were saying how game 1 the Lakers looked a bit gassed. Game 3 they put a lot into that game to get the win. Talk a little bit about what you think will happen over the remainder of the series based on that conditioning piece, because it sounds to me like you think that's going to go in favor of the Warriors.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Warriors play at the fastest pace in the NBA. And the difference between them and maybe the Kings, between them and Memphis, who also play quite a fast game, but Memphis don't really have a half-court offense, really. The Warriors do have that. They have sets that they can kind of run with Draymond and Steph and whatnot. So I think the longer the series kind of goes, it's going to be advantage Golden State. I think with the quick turnaround for game 1 as well, helped the Lakers because the Lakers have been off for a few days. So they closed out on Friday. The Warriors closed on Sunday. So I think the quick turnaround gave the Lakers and LeBron in particular more rest. I think as it goes to it's going to go to game 4 now, and I think as the pace quickens up, unfortunately, fortunately or fortunately, they call Anthony Davis alternative days, AD. So he has a good game and he has a bad game. So I think that bad game is coming, and going to be in game 4. And I think as that bad game kind of comes, as the conditioning kind of begins to wear on LeBron, it's going to become an advantage Golden State. Golden State has some very conditioned athletes in terms of Steph and Clay and all those other guys. So they want to play at a certain pace, And so I think the Warriors are going to win game 4 because AD is going to go back to being AD, and for the thing is for the Lakers, the longer the series goes, AD and LeBron have got an injury history, so we'll see.
Okay. That's you touched on some interesting points there. But before I touch on those interesting points, I want to go to Matt. Matt, look, we appreciate you had technical difficulties and you went missing like Jordan Poole in game 3, but you're back now. Let's pretend we're at the Chase Center so you can actually put up some shots and keep it consistent. Talk to us, bro. What do you think about what happened in game 3? Start from the beginning because we didn't catch you at any point. You were missing from quarter 1. Talk to us.
Yeah, hopefully Jordan Poole makes the same comeback as me, to be fair. But
you ain't done yet, bro. You ain't done yet.
There you go. Don't take it lying down, man. Yeah, there you go.
But no, what I was saying was, the Warriors always knew that scoring in the paint in this series was going to be a challenge, just because they're undersized compared to the Lakers, and Anthony Davis is arguably the best defender remaining in the playoffs. And the problem with
Embiid
relying on... Sorry?
Embiid heard that comment you just made.
Yeah, AD overall was better. But anyway, the problem with relying on jump shots is there will be some days that the shots just don't fall. Obviously, that wasn't the case in game 2, but in game 1, they actually made about 21 threes and still ended up losing. I think that the Lakers made a couple of good defensive adjustments with Kerr choosing to put the ball in Steph Curry's hands. Darvin Ham actually switched Austin Reeves onto Steph and put Vanderbilt onto Draymond, so that when the screen comes, they'd have AD be switching onto Curry. I mean, they'd have Vanderbilt switching onto Curry while AD is able to still guard Draymond, which means the pick and roll won't be as effective anymore, which is why the Warriors did struggle to score anything else other than jump shots. Jordan Poole got the money of a superstar or an all-star, should I say, hasn't played up to the standard. DiVincenzo has really disappointed me, to be fair. He's missed a lot of open shots. His defense hasn't been that great either. Kerr doesn't trust Kuminga for some reason. He's not been able to really get a lot of game time. And like I said in the chat, Clay, although he has moments here and there where he can go crazy, if we're being honest, he has declined. And these games where he's able to make 5, 6+ threes, they come probably once every 4 games. And the problem with that is, even though we are critical of AD and LeBron for sort of playing well once every 2 games, if Klay is only going to have these games once every 4, it's not going to be good enough to beat these Lakers. And I think I want to believe that the Warriors will win Game 4. But anyway, we'll go into that later. But for Game 3, that's my summary of Game 3.
Okay, so you guys were talking about the players that were performing or underperforming, which is the second part we were going to talk about. But interestingly, Matt mentioned about pick and roll. So for any of you who are watching that don't really follow the NBA too much, just go onto YouTube, type in pick and roll in the NBA, and you will see exactly what it is. It's the bread and butter of the NBA. And the reason why the Warriors are one of the best teams in the whole league is because when they perform the pick and roll with Steph Curry and Draymond Green, you've basically got one of the best passing players on the planet in Draymond and one of the best shooting players on the planet in Steph. And it makes the floor so spacious, and it gives all the other guys opportunities to shoot and cut. So if you're blowing that up like the Lakers did, you're basically taking away their greatest strength. It's almost like playing against Argentina and locking down Messi. It's that type of impact. So yeah, again, go and have a look at what pick and roll is and what it means, and you'll understand the impact of that. Before we transition over to the individual performances, DZ, you mentioned the turnaround time. I just wanted to make it clear to everyone that the NBA format, you've got 2 games at home, 2 games at home, and then one game away in alternate. So you've got 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. In this series, it's actually 1 game every other day. And it's like that throughout the whole series. So there's no change in the routine. The reason why the Lakers benefited from the Game 1 was because the Lakers finished their series in Game 6 and the Warriors finished in Game 7. So there was a bit of a break. But going forward, it's going to be 1 every other game. And with LeBron being 38, I'm assuming, DZ, you're saying that he will get tired. Fortunately, they've only had to play 30 minutes in each game, the last 2, because they've been blowouts. So maybe those legs won't be an issue. The other thing you mentioned was about AD. So this is an interesting discussion. You mentioned he's alternating between great performances and not so great performances. And one of the key things he said, which I found interesting, was he's getting the same shots in both games. They're just not falling. And if you look at the shot charts for AD and how many shots he's taken, he's actually only taken 11 or 10 shots per game. But that's not where the team is losing or winning. It's on the defensive end. And you said arguably Anthony Davis is the best defender in the playoffs. There is no argument. There is no argument. He's the best defender on the planet regardless. At this point now, what he's doing to the Warriors, pretty much he's blowing up the entire setup. The way he's able to come up to the pick and roll and stop Steph from driving or shooting, return back to his man and break up a play, and then run out to Klay and get a block. He's dominating. He's got 4.5 blocks per game. The nearest person's got 2.3. He's absolutely destroying teams. And if you look at the defensive stats, defensive metrics, for anyone that pays attention to that, you will see that AD is absolutely killing it. My question to you guys is, why do you think he's alternating between dominant offensive performances and maybe less dominant offensive performances? Because literally from Game 1 to Game 2 to Game 3, every other game he's scoring 25 or more, and then the game after he's scoring less than 15. Why do you think that might be happening?
He ain't got that dog in him.
You don't think AD's got that? You don't think AD?
No, hear me out. 1 second, hear me out.
No, it's a question.
There's levels to this in terms of like there's people who there's NBA players reported some of them don't even like have bad practices because they give everything even in practice. They said guys like Giannis and people like that, like every single time that they have a chance to play, it's life or death basically for them. And if AD feels like this games was like, yeah, you know what? Even if you look at his rebounding totals, which you mentioned earlier, Jermaine, you mentioned his defensive presence. Defensive rebounding is one of the things as well, and offensive rebounding. In terms of like his rebounding numbers go up and down as well. So if you factor all of that in as well, which I think is more rebounding is indicative of effort as well. And so if you're not putting in that effort game in, game out, then these are the playoffs. It's not regular season anymore. Like it's literally the playoffs now. So like it's every single game has a massive impact on how your team will do. And if you're not bringing that effort game in, game out, there's only so much a coach can say. At a certain point, this is a professional. You're making $40 million a year. And you shouldn't have to be told, hey, like we need you to bring it tonight, you know, in terms of like rebounding wise. We can't let Kevon Looney out rebound you, and he plays 20 minutes less, and he has 8 rebounds to your 7, and you're on the floor for more than 20 minutes and he's out rebounding you. What's going on? You know, you shouldn't have to do that basically. But I think that's what separates like the top echelon guys, like your Tim Duncans, your Giannis's, your LeBrons, your Kobe Bryant, your Michael Jordans. For them, every single time they're going to the floor, like it's personal basically. With AD, he looks like there's days where like he's there, but he's not quite there, you know, in terms of like as he was the day before. And I think that's something that's internal. Like he said something the other day when he was like, oh, for good, so during the summer, you could go 2-3 months without picking up a basketball, you know, and then you see other guys, the scrimmaging, you know, they're working with the trainers during the summer, and AD's going months. And even just so for me, like the fact that his numbers have been up and down all playoffs this year is indicative of kind of like who he is. Like he's gotten a bit satisfied in terms of like because AD's ceiling is as high as any player in the league. Like his ceiling is that high in terms of potentially what he could be if he had Giannis's battery. He could be one of the best players of all time, but he doesn't. So yeah, so I think for me personally, I think it's something that he needs to address within himself internally, because if they get through this series, you know, there's a guy waiting, you know, in Denver he's pretty serious. So yeah.
Okay, so firstly, you're saying motivation and mentality. Matt, you look like you wanted to get in the mix on that one. Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously everyone's sort of first instinct is to sort of say, you know, AD hasn't got the mentality, or he hasn't got the hunger or the drive or whatever. But I do think Darvin Ham has a part to blame in this whole discussion, because I remember there was one game in the regular season, I'm not sure against who, but I think AD was having like a really slow drive first half, and then in the second half he exploded. And when the reporters asked Darvin Ham after the game, Darvin Ham said, and they asked him like, what did you say to AD that made him sort of come out ultra aggressive in the second half? And Darvin Ham said, no, it's actually AD's coach came to his senses because I began to run more plays for him. And I think sometimes that is something that the Lakers lack, because bearing in mind, even though, you know, him and Giannis are sort of similar height or whatever, they're not exactly the same type of power forward. AD doesn't bring up the ball like that, like Giannis. Giannis doesn't ultimately rely on people to feed him the ball. AD more so does. And I feel like sometimes with AD, when he doesn't sort of make his first couple of shots, the Lakers just divert away from giving him the ball completely and just sort of are really sort of guard heavy when it comes to running plays. And I do think that sort of explains why he's only having sort of these 11 shot attempt games and stuff. So as much as, you know, we can say, yeah, he has to take some personal responsibility and look inside, I do think sometimes the coach has to be like, yo, we have a top 5 player, give him the ball. If he misses his first 3 shots, never mind. He has the potential to make his next 5. So I would say Darvin Ham should take some responsibility for AD as well.
It's a quick point, Matt. That is true. But at the same time, AD's got to, even if you're going to be a bit of you won't be liked by everybody, but you got to let your teammates know, I need that damn ball. You just got to let them know. In timeouts, you got to get in people's faces. Listen, like the rock needs to come my way. Like you got to become that alpha. Like you got to be the guy that says to the coach, listen, just give me like there was a play when it was a couple of years ago. I think when LeBron was playing with Kyrie, and they called the play for Kyrie, and LeBron said to the coach, "Nah, I'm taking that shot," and that's it. Like AD's got to reach that point and says, "Listen, just give me the damn ball. Whatever you've got running, just give me the ball and get out my way." And he's got to let his teammates know as well. There's got to be some fear there. You know, like if Giannis says to Jrue Holiday, like, "I need the ball," that's it. The rock's coming his way. And I think I'd
push back on that, DZ. Do you know why I push back on that? You mentioned Giannis. Giannis in a recent press conference at the end of the game when they lost to Miami.
I saw that about the defensive stuff. Yeah,
he mentioned about adjustments, right? And he said when they were talking about Jimmy Butler, he was like, "No, we needed to make adjustments and blah blah blah." So we're talking about AD's mentality and Giannis' mentality being different, but it sounds to me like actually the coaching is going to decide what happens, because if you're a player that respects your coach's decision, you're going to follow that adjustment. You're not going to blow up the whole game plan just because you want to take the best player and guard the best player. Although you think egotistically you should, you're going against your coach, and not everyone's built that way. And Giannis is a prime example of someone who, although we consider him to be a dog, in actual fact, Jimmy Butler was cooking for a good few games, and if that was Jordan, Kobe, and other guys, they would have locked him down. So I'm not necessarily certain that it's just about mentality. I think mentality is definitely a part. I agree with you, Matt, that you need to have a coach and a system. But then ultimately, maybe because it's my age and my generation, and Dej, you may be able to attest to this from your perspective, I'm old school. If you want something, you take it. You don't be polite. You don't ask permission. You ask forgiveness. Like you basically say, look, guys, I've had 7 shots. I need more. Like, get me that ball. Get upset. Get annoyed. Like in this last game, Steph Curry passed the ball to Klay Thompson, and Klay Thompson wasn't paying attention. Yeah.
I saw. It was a dope. It was a good dime as well.
He chewed him out. He chewed him out. Like, come on.
He was behind. Yeah, because he was behind him. As in, Klay was going, but he wasn't looking at the person with the ball.
Yeah.
Coming down. Because if he was, that was an easy dime. LeBron was right behind him, so the ball would have landed in front of him and get a layup, and then he missed it. And Curry, I think, cussed out something. I don't know.
He cussed out Klay by not cussed him out like by saying you need to get that, but you could see the frustration because he's the leader of the team and he's letting the guys know we need this. So if we pivot,
I remember that play. It was a good dime. But
yeah, it was. It was. Look, personally, I watch every Lakers game pretty much most years since AD's got there, and I do agree, DZ, fundamentally that he is a bit hit and miss in terms of his mentality. Sometimes he will dominate for 7 or 8 games and then he'll disappear and he'll be very passive. But I do think there's a multitude of factors, and we have to stop looking at AD like he's LeBron, a Curry, because he doesn't have the ball. He gets fed the ball. He's a Shaq. And Shaq had the mentality of get me the ball. And even he had to leave LA because he was like, I can't play with this Kobe dude. Like,
but the thing of with AD, Shaq, even then, there's no way Shaq's going through 2-3 playoff games of 11 shots.
No, but there's
Shaq will fight him at halftime.
I agree, but two things to that. The Lakers back then were not dominant on defense. That's the first thing. This Lakers team are dominant on defense, and mainly because of AD. There's LeBron and AD that have been there for the last 5 years, and they had a great defense with Vogel, and they've had a great defense with Ham. And I can tell you now that it's because of AD. It ain't because of LeBron. AD is a cheat code on defense on so many levels, and he puts so much energy and effort into that. And every game you watch, he's pretty much dominant on the defensive end. He's getting 3 steals, he's getting 4 blocks. He's shooting. He doesn't really. If you ever watch him play, he's not really into that get me the ball kind of thing. He's more animated about defense. When you listen to his press conferences, he's talking about coverages. He's talking about intensity and things of that nature. Dej, you wanted to say something. What do you want to say, bro?
I was. Everyone's talking about he goes off, and then he declines, and then whatever. Everyone's mentioned reasons why they think it is motivation, doesn't have that dog in him, whatever. I think conditioning is.
I did bring that up.
I think his conditioning is a big factor in it, because like DZ mentioned, he won't pick up a ball for like 3 months or whatever, and then come back and expect to be the same. Yeah, he has a gift for basketball, so he can now touch the ball and then come back and then be somewhat great. But then imagine him putting in work like LeBron does during the summer. Dude, if you put the kind of work LeBron does during the summer, because apparently LeBron plays through the summer. He doesn't. I don't know if it's true. All these videos that come out, stuff like that. Who knows if it's true? It's like he plays heavy. He plays heavy minutes and scrimmages and stuff like that to keep his muscle memory and conditioning ready for playoff time games. I know you can never recreate playoffs in a scrimmage, but if you go hard enough, you come back in the regular season, you're going full pelt. When the playoffs come, you might need to make a few adjustments, but that's about it. You'll have to get ready for it. I don't think AD is like that. AD is chilled. Basketball is cool, you know. He enjoys it. Whatever, he has a gift for it, and I'm sure he does the training that he's supposed to do and stuff like that. He comes to, I was gonna say rehearsals. He comes to practices and stuff like that. He comes training. He does well the coaches and you do whatever. But I don't think that I have no. I don't have any stats on. I don't have any insights on.
Dej, man, say it with your chest, bro. Say it with your chest, man. You're pulling back, man's like, bro.
No.
You're walking up to the girl and saying, "Look, babes, if you reject me, I don't mind. I don't want to hear that, brother. I don't want to hear that."
It's not that. I'm giving like these are just pure whatever I'm looking at, right?
That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. Say it with your chest.
If he doesn't, I don't think he's the one that will, after practice, will stay in longer. Before practice, will come in earlier. It doesn't seem like that to me.
So your conditioning is mentality, because if you got the mentality of a dog, you will get conditioned. You will work hard and you will make sure you do it. So to DZ's point, conditioning, and I think it's a blend of coaching, conditioning, circumstance.
If he had the conditioning, right, I think he would be more available on both ends. Because it is very underrated and people just speak about it. People just go in, oh yeah, it should be, able to play defense here, and then, we need him to score 20. That is very difficult to be available 100% on the defensive side and also be available on the offensive side, because on the defense, you're going against other monsters that can play. Your brain is switching real fast switch much. You're getting all just to stop someone and then go on the other side and then have someone the opposite end doing the same to you. That's a really great defender. That has to stop you. So double teams, they are plays against you. They're plays, man. This is an AD play, and we're gonna stop AD. There are plays like that continuously, and all that both ends every time. If you're not conditioned for it, like.
Did you just bang on the table then, Dej? Because that sounded like you saying it with your chest, bro.
I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah, to back your point up, Dej, Kobe Bryant in his book, he talked about that actually. He said how he would do certain exercises during the summertime, and he'd do them during the regular season as well to shorten his recovery time. So in terms of how quickly his heart rate kind of goes back to normal. And so the longer you do these exercises, then the faster it kind of goes back. So you do it over and over again in the summer, do the reps over and over and over. So by the time the season comes, he was ready basically. And it's a case of because Kobe played both ends as well. He'd be on it defensively and they get the ball on the other end, and he'd be the focus of the other team as well. And he said he did that over and over to improve his condition, that when the time comes, he's able to recover physically and mentally. And because he'd put the work in over 15, 20-year period basically. And I think to be that guy that goes both ends, there's very few guys that can do it, that have been able to do it across. And that's what separates, like I said, the elite, the top level guys, from the guys just from the tier just below, basically.
Yeah. Well, look, we're talking about
LeBron in his prime. LeBron could do that.
We're talking about greatness, and we've been talking on this pod now.
I said LeBron in his prime, he could do that.
You said something good about LeBron, and no one said nothing.
Yeah,
listen, I'm just saying. And you know what the thing is? AD's 30 years old. He should be in his prime.
You missed it. It was a backhanded compliment. LeBron in his prime. LeBron's in his prime, LeBron.
It's a compliment. I'm like, this boy just said something good about it.
DZ will compliment someone from what they did in the past, but not for what they're doing now. It's too much. It's too much. Too much. Anyway, we've been talking for 34 minutes and we've not even said a damn thing about Steph Curry. Arguably the best player on the planet. Not even former champion, current NBA champion. And we've not said a damn thing. It's about time we address the elephant in the room. Guys, Steph Curry's scoring 23 points a game. He's shooting 47%, but 46% from three, which is phenomenal considering he's shooting about 10 threes a game. What are your guys' thoughts on how his series has been so far? And what more do you think he needs to do to put his team over the edge?
Well, I think game one he was okay. game 2, although Clay went off, I actually thought he was the best player in the game. Actually, I just think from a facilitation standpoint, I just think he opened up the floor for so many opportunities for the Warriors offensively. For game 3, yeah, if things just broke down game 3. He didn't adjust well to sort of to AD's pressure on the defense, and you can tell Anthony Davis is having such an effect on the Warriors offense that sometimes they don't even want to shoot in the paint anymore. Like, it's not even that AD is
go in the paint.
It's not even that AD is forcing them to alter their shots. He's actually forcing them to turn back. And there were a couple of times where Curry got into the paint and he's trying to figure out what he can do to sort of get by AD, and then he shoots it and it gets blocked. I think they need to mix it up. I understand that sort of putting the ball in Steph's hands and doing the high pick and roll stuff, that was a good adjustment from game 1, but I think they should mix it up a bit more. Sometimes let Draymond be the facilitator. Sometimes let Steph have the ball. You can't be too predictable. So Steve Kerr needs to sort of do more in that sense. I also think maybe he should hunt favorable matchups a bit more, as opposed to just trying to draw AD away from the rim. He should probably sort of hunt D'Angelo Russell, maybe hunt Austin Reeves a bit more, get the mission. Because for me, he's not hit as many threes as he should be by this point in the series. So I think he should do a better job of hunting favorable matchups a bit more. But yeah, so far it's been average, I would say, overall. I'd give him a 6 out of 10 in the series so far.
Okay.
I think it's credit to the Lakers more so, because in game 1 they played good, and in game 2 he facilitated, but he still did his numbers to facilitate it, and that's because everyone was making their shots. So from the double team, they'll slack off him a bit, and if the ball comes back to him, only he needs a sliver of time, and that ball goes up. They just a sliver of just the hesitation, the ball can go up, and more likely it's going to go in. So he had that. But in game 3, yeah, I think it's more the Lakers defense, because I can't remember who wasn't on defensively, like Lonnie Walker.
I mean, I feel like you could always count on D'Lo to be a bit lackluster defensively, though.
Well, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's who he is. It's who he is.
I can't remember spectacular defensive plays off him. But if he's the only one that's not, and everyone else is.
Or dare I say it, even draw LeBron out in isolation. Dare I say it. Is LeBron ready to move his feet at this age and stage? I don't know. Try it.
He still does. What you see is he doesn't. I don't think he does a lot of face-up defense now. So he will probably force you to your weakest hand. So you see him jump on the side and keep you in lane, so people can close up. So if someone can go baseline, he'll cover that up so you can go in the paint, and there will be people there. There will be AD there and stuff like that. So you have to be thinking. So he's more clever about defense now than just
mental now.
Yeah, than just pure athleticism. So
I think back in the day, like he could sit in that chair, the proverbial chair, or a guy kind of sits down in the perimeter and he's like, yeah, what, like Kawhi in his prime almost. But I think you're right now. He uses more like you anticipate
You're smarter about defense now.
You anticipate what you're gonna do and what you want to do, and then he'll force you into what you don't want to do, and he's channeling you into into that big, like in the middle, and so he is a bit smarter. But I think
sorry, DZ, but I think the reason why he is able to do that, especially for game 1, so when they started Looney and Green, the AD and LeBron weren't even guarding Looney and Green, and it just allowed them to just be on the help side in the paint all the time.
They weren't shooting.
Yeah, they're not going to shoot. But then even with game 2,
he doesn't even shoot twos. He doesn't shoot mid range. He doesn't do, which is weird, I think, because if he can shoot a mid range, it'll make it just a little. There will be just a little more forethought on who to defend. Because if you get the mid range,
something else to think about.
Exactly, he gets more options, but he doesn't do that. If he's not by the rim, turning around, hook shot, layup, whatever, nothing. So yeah, you're right, man. They're like, okay, yeah, shoot. But
even it seems like the problem the Warriors have on offense is it seems like the only two people that the Lakers are really sort of focusing on is Klay and Steph. Even Wiggins is being left open. JaMychal Green is being left open. These guys need to start showing the Lakers why they should be guarded. Because
Wiggins is hitting the shots, though. Let's not call it that. Wiggins is hitting the shots, and he was playing really good defense. Because you saw the last time, even LeBron got frustrated and pushed him, which I thought was weird. And the ref said nothing. Everyone's like, "Yep, that's cool. It's LeBron. He can do that." I'm like, "Yo, can't do that." But Wiggins turned up. He's turned up defensively. Offensively, he could turn it up a little bit, but he's turned up defensively.
Definitely. LeBron is daring him to shoot. LeBron is always daring him to shoot. He's literally sitting. He's sitting so far off him. He's daring him, and obviously we know Wiggins only just came back about 2 to 3 weeks ago. So offensively, for me, he still hasn't found his rhythm yet.
I don't think he's going back. To be fair, for someone that's been off for a little while,
I don't know. I just think that like everyone talks about the Warriors shooting, but sometimes we sort of overlook the fact that the shooting is actually top heavy. There's a few guys that can shoot, and then there's a bunch of guys that can't. So the Lakers are really taking advantage of that now, and LeBron and AD being able to just sit in the paint and wait for anyone that gets in there and just apply the pressure on them. It's affecting the whole Warriors offense, and I don't know.
It's the point that you made earlier, which I know Warriors have destroyed that whole adage. I mean, they have 4 titles, so they've destroyed the whole live by the shot, die by the shot thing. So we can throw that out. But it comes around every now and then, right? So they didn't make their shot this time, and they lost. Everyone else made their shot, like the second game. Was it the second game or third game? Where he became the facilitator, and everyone made shots. And they just looked amazing. They were like, oh, these guys can't lose. But then when they don't make their shots, they lose.
This Lakers defense, guys, is, trust me, it's supreme. When you sit and this Lakers defense is supreme. When you're watching like NBA games every day and you're looking at how defenses operate and you watch, they are doing things to the Warriors that are putting them in an uncomfortable position in the paint, because the Warriors are still shooting well. Like Klay and Steph are shooting 45% plus from free, and they're shooting 10 and 12 threes a game. So they're still banging. They're putting them up. They're shooting at a good clip. The problem is, as Matt said, when they get into the lane, they're not even shooting anymore. They're seeing AD there with his 7'6" wingspan and his 38-inch vertical and his agility and his speed and his recovery time and reaction time, and thinking, I don't even want to shoot anymore. He's making the Golden State Warriors look like a bunch of Ben Simmons in the paint. That's what's happening today. And that is not an exaggeration. He's literally dominating to the point where Steph Curry's shooting, I think, 45% from free, but 43% overall. So what that tells you is that he's scoring more efficiently from the 3-point line than he is from 2. That's not a good look. That's devastating. And that's all because the Lakers are not playing games when it comes to locking down that team. And this is my way to pivot into this next point. Game 4 at the Lakers home in the Crypt, crypto.com, formerly, used to be staples.com. We're talking about all these adjustments that have been made. And I'm not going to lie, I'm really excited about this series because I'm watching 2 masterclasses of offense and defense go against each other. I'm watching the likes of Steph and LeBron and AD and Klay. I'm watching the mastermind in Kerr and watching Darvin Ham try and figure out how do we stop Curry? How do we slow him down? And you can see every game as an adjustment. So my question to you guys is this. If you were the Warriors team, scouts, coaches, whatever, what's the one key adjustment that you would make in preparation for Game 4 to try and get the W? And I'll start with you, DZ.
The key, I mean, for me, I think Jordan Poole needs to start making shots. I think if he starts knocking them down, which I think he will, by the way, I think we're reaching that point now where like it's either you hit him or you go home. So I think Game 4 and 5, I think he's going to show up. I think, I expect the Warriors to win both. And because they want to go down 3-1, so I think Jordan Poole is going to, those shots are going to start going in. Draymond's going to has to do a better job with foul trouble. He's a smarter player than that. So I'm hoping that he figures that out a little bit, And yeah, I think in terms of like quicken up the pace a little bit, because we talk about AD's condition and he's not the best at it. In terms of like the certain moments in the game when you look at him when the game stops and he's clutching the bottom of his shorts because he's really breathing that oxygen, is taking as much as he can. And so yeah, let's just go faster basically, because Clay and Steph and rest some of the offensive players, they have a very well conditioned Wiggins as well. So I think let's just quicken up the pace. The shots will start going in terms of for like Jordan Poole, and I think once that happens, it becomes a different game. So yeah, I think for me that has to be just quicken things up. I think I don't think the Lakers could maintain this level of defensive intensity in terms of game to game as well. And I think that's going to be a question: is can they keep it up? And yeah, and the best indicator of future behavior is look at past behavior. And hate to say it, they call the man street clothes for a reason.
Okay, no, stop.
What do you mean? No. Come on.
No. Look, emotions aside. You said a lot of talk then, and I was disagreeing with stuff in my head, like, you know what, Jay, let him have his moment, let him have his speech. And I said one thing, and you went with 3, and then you dropped the 4th one, which was the AD street clothes, and I'm like, nah, I can't have this. I'm gonna shoot this down now. Look,
okay, yeah.
2019 till now, who's had more regular season games, AD or Steph Curry? Exactly. Go look around. AD's had 180. AD's had 180 games. Steph Curry's had 148 or something along those lines. So when people talk about street clothes, they talk about not available, they talk about he's unreliable, they talk about all this talk. It's a narrative because the numbers are showing you that players like KD, players like Steph, players like Kawhi, they're all playing less games than AD.
Yeah, but Kawhi is a different animal, man. Come on now.
No, but Kawhi doesn't like basketball.
No, but hear me out though, right?
Kawhi doesn't like
basketball.
But no one ever talks about Steph being available in the same way they talk about AD. And my point to what you were saying is, if we're going to talk about injuries, Clay was out for a year and a half, bro.
Yeah.
But can I say why, Jabin?
KD, of course. You're a hater. You're a hater. You've told me.
No. Listen. Here's the reason why. Because here's the reason why. Because Steph's been there when it counts for 4 titles. Like he's been.
I was gonna say that. If you're gonna say, sorry to cut you off, DZ, but you nailed exactly what I was gonna say. I was like, if you mention it now for this season, okay, fine, give it to you. AD was more available, but we can't deny like Steph being more available through 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons.
No. Do the math. I just told you from 2019 till
2019.
Yeah. 2019. The last 4 years of NBA play, Steph Curry has been less available than Anthony Davis. That is not my opinion. That is empirical fact. So, but what is an opinion is people saying that AD's unavailable, but they don't have that same levy to Curry because Curry, he's like Teflon. You know what I mean? He's got the nice wife, he's got the kids, he's the Christian guy. You know what I mean? He's doing well. No one wants to say nothing about him. AD.
He's going emotional now. No.
I'm guessing. Look, I'm guessing.
What did she do? What did Alicia into this? What did she do? Or Aisha?
I don't even know. Look, all I know is this.
It's Aisha.
I got nothing but respect and love for Curry and what he does. I would never try to diminish his greatness. But what I am saying is when we talk about availability, LeBron and AD have been more available than Clay and Steph. So what I'm saying is That argument over the last 4 years
well.
needs to be removed.
But Jermaine, if you look at it, if you look from a career perspective, before Clay had his injury in 20 in the finals, basically, he'd been one of the most durable NBA players for like a 10-year period, basically, or like a 7-year period, where like he barely missed a game up until that point, basically. Like even regular season, it was
before I lost my hair.
Hear me out. Jermaine, hear me out. So these guys, they've been playing since before 2019, and I think it's a case of like when are you available as well. Like the fact that these guys have been available in the playoffs probably for longer than. If you look at when the Lakers won their ring, it was in the bubble, and the Lakers got like a 3-month break basically, so he didn't get a chance to recharge his batteries. I'm curious to see what happens this season because if he can stay healthy to June, then we'll see. But history tells us that odds are slim to none, and Slim's packing his bags.
Okay, cool. So I'll let you land, right? Matt, you got something to say, bro? Because I know I've been dominating the push.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think the sort of the present tense or the present, how things are in the present is what's deceiving people, and it's probably why a lot of people will be surprised at that stat. And I think it's because when Steph misses sort of a length of games, it's usually because he has an injury that's keeping him out for a set period of time. Whereas with AD, it seems like he gets these constant nagging little injuries that keeps him out sort of like very frequently, but yet a lot, even though he might be playing in the midst of it. So it might feel as though he's less available. And really and truly, the amount of time that Steph is missing, like when Steph pretty much missed the whole season because he broke his left wrist or something. That is probably, well, as the stats prove, that was longer than all the sort of little games that AD's missing here and there. So I think just because of how frequent AD's his absences are, it makes it feel like it's longer. I mean, like it's more, when really and truly, it's not. But I mean, regardless, what does that matter, really?
No. But I tell you why it matters. Matt, why it matters to me is I needed to push back to say, look, I asked you for one reason or for one thing that's going to make the Warriors win. And DZ drew for 4. And I don't mind 3. 3's cool. But the 4th one was too much, Matt. It was too much, man. It was too much. It was too much.
Do you mean the availability of LeBron and half season?
That's deep. That's a bit deep, That's a bit deep.
No, I heard it from
look.
Always ding.
I'm not here to say that AD's reliable. But what I will say is this. DZ, all your points in regards to people making shots, I'm not sure that's going to necessarily happen, because the reason they're not making shots is because the defense is set up so that they don't make shots. With regards to fouling, the Lakers are the best in the league at getting people into foul trouble and the best in the league at avoiding going into foul trouble. The Warriors are pretty much the opposite. They're the worst in the league at drawing fouls, and they're one of the worst in the league at preventing the fouls being drawn. And when people look at the difference between the free throws for the Lakers, which is 80, and the Warriors, which is around 39, 40, they may think, oh, there's a narrative there, or there's some sort of inside cooking. The reality is their teams are built very differently. The Lakers are very front court dominant, paint dominant. We're going to smash you in the mouth. We're going to go into the paint and deal with you. The Warriors, we're going to shoot threes over you all day, every day. And we're going to gun you out until you got nothing left. And your conditioning is going to run out because you're chasing our guys. I don't see in what you said how that's going to change in game 4. Jordan Poole making shots isn't going to stop AD from being 7'3". Jordan Poole making shots isn't going to stop Draymond Green from being level-headed, which he isn't.
Not making him make shots, because they'll give him those shots all day.
So I just said, you man.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Alternative days.
The only thing I have to say.
Alternative days. Sorry.
Alternative days. That's a good one. Like that.
They call AD alternative days as well, because in terms of like one day, numbers are there, then the next day they're there. So my man's up and down like a yo-yo.
Okay. So let's use that as your argument. Sorry, there's last thing. That's your argument. Alternative days. Well, if
alternative days. I keep it simple.
Easy. If we carry on with that pattern, who wins?
The Lakers in 7.
Yeah,
there we go. So there we go.
Win. Yeah.
Well, there we go. There's what you're saying, bro.
the point that you made about how defensive the Lakers are is, I don't want to say it's underrated or people don't look into it or whatever, but they're a really good defensive team. Like if you look at it, every one of them is a like bar the Heat.
LeBron?
No, bar the Heat. The dogs as well.
Matt, you see the hate can't stay inside, bro. It has to come out. It has to come out.
He was thinking of another team. He was thinking of another team.
He's not even talking about it.
I was trying to compare the whole team, Lakers,
LeBron.
but it all the way down to LeBron. It's okay, DB. Get a little water.
Just
good?
LeBron.
Sure? You get a shot or something. Relax. No, what I mean is defensively, like the only other team that I think are like dogs more than them are the Heat. The Heat, like every single one. I mean, even when they switch to between players that you think would be unfair or whatever, that they just have that defensive mentality.
I think the Knicks. I say the Knicks. I think the Knicks defense. Well, yeah, when I watch the Knicks play defense, man, they're scary.
I think if you look at the Knicks in the first round, Cleveland didn't get above 100 points for like 4 games or something.
They look scary, man. They look scary. I was watching thinking, I wouldn't like to be a point guard.
For me, I say the Heat. I guess you can say the Knicks have bigger players, right? They got bigger wings.
No, it's the system. When I'm looking at defense, I'm looking at 2 things. You need to have generational talent, and you need to have a system that maximizes that talent.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think the
one for me with the Heat is there's always the next man up, and they're all it is. It's incredible to get everyone on the same page like that.
Heat DNA.
It's like if you don't play defense at 110%, you're out. So that's how everyone takes it. So I see the Lakers somewhat like that as well, because they got Troy Brown and you got Malik Beasley, you got every one of those people that will come off the bench as well. They play defense just as hard as well. You know, Vanderbilt, they hit a lottery ticket with Vanderbilt because he start from 1 to 4 or even 5 at times, right? And he's not just okay with a 4. I mean, he's not just okay with he's not good with a 4 and then okay with a 1 and 2. He's really good all through them positions, right? So they switch and chop him, and then they don't need him to shoot. Don't worry about making. Run around with Clay and Steph.
So, Dad, talk to me, bro. What do the Warriors need to do to get that W, in your opinion?
Everyone, including Poole, needs to start hitting shots. I know it's simplistic. I get it.
No. Okay, so that's
simplistic. I get it. Because look at what happened in Game 2. It was a very simple game. Pick, roll, pass, shoot, make it done.
But my question is,
so they don't need to go in the paint.
No, but how? So you've told me what, so they're going to make shots. How are they going to scheme it so that they can get those shots? What do they need to adjust? What one thing do they need to tweak that's going to make it easier for Paul to get free, or for Draymond to actually hit a shot, or for Clay to get more shots?
Draymond's not going to be hitting shots.
Well, yeah, I know. I was trying to throw that in there just for jokes.
Yeah, Matt, don't say nothing. Just let him have that. It's okay.
Yeah. So what do they need to do to get to that point so they can hit
shots? I actually thought for the time he was in, he actually played really good on both ends. Moody.
Okay.
I thought Moody played really well for the time he was in. He wasn't in for long, but I thought he played well. So I don't know if they want to adjust him, put him in as a starter, because defensively he's good, he's long, and he can shoot as well. So we get somewhat like a Jermichael Green on the 4 as opposed to on the 5. Maybe put him there. That's one of the other things. But aside from just making shots, the paint is off limits. Yeah, the paint is off limits. The only way you can do that is get AD out of there. But they're not doing that. The Lakers are not doing it. Lakers are like, just shoot. We'll live with whoever else, as long as it's not Steph or Clay. They're shooting. Cool. Have your night. You go in. Yeah, everyone shoot. as long as you make it. And if you can, like you did in game 2, you got it. But if you cannot, we get game 3.
Say less. Matt, what are you saying, man?
Okay, so I think the way the series has gone, it kind of reminds me of the Celtics Bucks series last year. So the Bucks had packed the paint with Giannis, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, and so on, and they were essentially just forcing the Celtics to take outside shots. However, the games in which the Celtics had success was when not only were they great defensively and great on the boards, but they scored a lot of points in transition. And the Lakers are one of the worst defensive teams in transition. So the Warriors need to somehow find a way to get more points on transition, whether that is the defensive aspect of it. I don't know what. I mean, I guess I'll be honest, guys. I think he should reduce Jordan Poole's minutes. I think the fact that he's such a liability on the defensive end, I'm not sure how much of a use he will be in the series. You guys are saying, he needs to hit shots and Jordan Poole's going to hit shots. Eventually, he's going to hit shots. There's nothing that I've seen that convinces me that that's going to happen, unfortunately. So
and switch to who? I don't mind the Poole not, being switched and stuff like that. But who you switch it to? Who would you have instead of Poole?
I'll be honest. Get Kuminga in there. Get Kuminga in there.
Matt's been banging that Kuminga drum for like a year and a half. I'm still banging that drum. Kuminga.
Yeah, get Kuminga in there. Kuminga he's okay defensively. He's athletic. I mean, if you're not gonna have the size in the paint, you might as well
the guy that can jump out there.
I'd have Gary Payton firstly.
You can't shoot DZ. You can't have him in there, man.
You can't. Yeah, you can't.
But I think of that as Kuminga as well. I think Kuminga is good defensively. But I don't think
you can't play Kuminga and Gary Payton in this series for the mere fact that when the Lakers have Draymond Green, they have to defend. They sag off. If they have Draymond, Kevon Looney, GP3, or Kuminga, they've got 2 guys in the paint. That's not a good look.
3 guys. They even the third person don't even work.
You saw that in the first game where GP3 was playing, and they realized very quickly we can't do this. And then they moved to JaMychal Green in the second game, and you could see very quickly there that when we got 4 guys that can shoot, with Draymond passing, this is the way forward.
And Looney is a very good offensive rebounder. I don't know how. Because he's like not much, but he's a very good offensive rebounder.
Yeah.
So you get 2 or 3 shots at it most of the time, and you don't even need him to make shots. Whenever you make shots, it's icing on the cake.
So
we just get rebounds and give it back to people that are open. That's it.
So make shots, quicken the pace, and try and get Kuminga in the game based on what Matt's saying, and then we should see a different result for game 4. So before we finish, I just want a quick round the table. Predictions as to what you think is going to happen for the game and why. So Matt, I'll start with you. What do you think is going to happen in game 4 in terms of result? What way is it going to go? And what do you think is going to be the main cause of that?
I'll be honest. I'm going completely with my heart here. None of what I'm about to say is based on what I've seen with my eyes, and I know that might sound a bit weird, but it's just because I want the Warriors to win the series.
Make or break.
The Warriors are going to win game 4, and I think the reason why they'll win.
Feel?
Game
you
4,
mean you feel? Let's not confuse it. You feel?
I think because honestly, as much as we've spoken a lot about the Lakers defense, I think in these 3 games, the teams that have been the most desperate, apart from maybe game 1 actually, but especially in game 2 and game 3, the teams that won the games were the teams that were the most desperate. And heading into game 4, the Warriors are obviously the most desperate team, or the more desperate team rather, because they know if they go 3-1 down, it might be over. It's pretty much over. So I think they'll be the more desperate team. I think Draymond will be better. I think that's the only person that had a horrible game in game 3 that I'm confident will be a lot better in game 4. Poole,
I'm not too sure about Paul, but I do think Steph will be more aggressive in terms of attacking the paint. Believe it or not, he has no choice. It's either AD blocks it or he doesn't, and he's not really had success. Oh wow, sorry, he's not had success there yet so far.
That?
So I think that was easy.
Yeah, nah, Daisy, you had to go on mute. You may not agree with Matt, but you got to give him some respect and let him finish, right?
Oh, I missed that completely. I don't know what happened there.
Just on the spraying side. But yeah, I think Steph will be more aggressive. I think Steph will head into Game 4 with the same mentality that he headed into Game 7 against the Kings. Because ultimately, I think it's do or die for the Warriors. If they don't win Game 4, it's over. Similar to the Game 4 games against the Celtics last year. So yeah, I would, but ultimately, Warriors. I hope and feel that the Warriors win the game, and I want to come here after Game 4 and say they won it because of Steph Curry.
Okay. Deji, can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, were you talking to me?
Yeah. Go ahead. What do you think?
Well, then I already mentioned about them making shots. I was like, yeah, they have to. They got to make shots, man. It's the easiest way for them, the easiest path, right, to victory for them. For me, is the same pick and roll where they stop Curry from beating them, and everyone else beat them. And if everyone else steps up and they're able to make shots and stuff like that, then yeah, it'll be. I mean, it sounds really easy. I'm like, oh yeah, everyone just make their shots, whatever. But that's the easiest path to win. The changing of the lineup again to have someone else, maybe that someone else that cannot shoot or doesn't primarily shoot, gives Lakers just a lot more chances to make, to build on shots. Because thinking about the Lakers roster, I can't even call everyone off the top of the head. I'm sure JJ can. But most of the people that they will put on there that's really good defensively can also shoot. Those people can also shoot. The people that have defensively as well, they can shoot. Bar Vanderbilt, everyone else can really shoot. So it's a Matt, you're mute. So it's a thing of.
No, I just said Schroeder can't really shoot either.
Say again?
Dennis Schroeder, he's not the greatest shooter either.
Hey, Schroeder can. What are you talking about? He can.
He's good from the free throw line, not really from the 3-point line.
I think he gets beat up on the defensive side because he's doing he's so undersized and stuff like that. But he's there. He's very there. He's like I like Schroeder a lot actually. I don't know why they cut him the first time, whatever, or that whole thing about his money stuff. That's real silly. But I think he's a very good point guard. But yeah, it's that kind of play. I don't think Warriors should make that much of a change. They should just be better. Sorry, I don't have anything else that's more profound than that. Than for them to be better. That's it.
DZ, let's wrap up with you, DZ.
Yeah.
And keep it short and to the point. ABB. Anybody but Braun. Go Warriors. Go Warriors.
Till next time, guys.
What the hell was it? That was it.
That was it. Okay. Till next time. We'll speak 2 more days, guys. We'll speak soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for dialing in. Take care.